Welcome everyone today. We actually got a live match of Age of Empires 3 Wars of Liberty that I want to do with you today. It's going to be a 1 versus 1 between Eternity and Kaiser. Your res is not support for the observer interface. I don't really care. Go away. I just want to watch this. So we're going to be watching Eternity with the Swedes go up against Kaiser with the... what civ is he? He's the Dutch. And basically these are two very strong Wars of Liberty European civs. The Swedes being really good with their aggressive heavy infantry rush, and Dutch also being good with their aggressive heavy infantry rush, so this should be pretty interesting. So how does it differ though? So in the case of the Dutch, they got the flank war, so it's almost like a crossbowman and musketeer hybrid. That moves very quickly. You know, and with their special card, they can move around the map pretty fast. As for the Swedes, their musketeer is more of a hybrid between a pikeman and a musketeer. Right. So Dutch were dealing with a crossbow musketeer hybrid, and the Swedes a pikeman musketeer hybrid. The Swedish one costs food and wood. The Dutch one costs food and coin. And why does this all matter? So basically the flank war is going to be a little bit more range than the Beveringer is of the Swedes. But it's going to have I think the Swedes' Beveringer has a little bit more speed to it, but the flank war is pretty close to it, honestly. At least I thought. We'll see once the fighting gets going which one's the fast one. I'm just assuming, since these are two very high-level players here, Kaiser and Eternity, they're going to go right out of the gate fighting each other. Now, one thing I am curious about here is, can we look at their decks at all? Alright, so this is the Kaiser deck. It's called Hidden, because it's a hidden deck. Basically starts out with Colbertism, then he's probably going to pick up Advanced TP, or he could pick up Advanced TP first to take advantage of this map, which is the High Plains map. You got a really nice trade route with about 5 trading posts on it, plus access to Comanche and Cheyenne natives on it. So if Kaiser wants to start grabbing this route right away, he can get the advanced TP first and then get Colbertism later. Otherwise, he could start with Colbertism to help himself age up a bit quicker. It's really up to him. As for the other civ, the Swedes, kind of the same sort of deck at the start, you know, they also have Colbertism. Kind of the difference here is that Dutch do have the option of getting villager cards, though it's a little bit different. But for the Swedes, they don't get villager cards, at least not the normal ones, right? So the only villager cards they can actually access are Team 3 settlers in Age 2 and Team 8 villagers in Age 4. But they do get this mechanic that lets them get around that a bit. It's called used to be called the Land Mana Party, now it's called Extra Units. Extra Units, you now get a free settler with every market improvement research. And yeah, that's basically what Land Mana Party does. Every time you research hunting dogs, placer mines, gang saw, great code, blunderbuss, and any of the ones above that, you get yourself a nice free villager. It's sort of like the Italian free villager with tech mechanic, except it's just at the market. If you really use it well and very quickly, and you can macro efficiently, it's honestly better than having villager cards, because instead of wasting 2 or 3 slots to get villagers out, you can use just 1 card to do it. Yeah, because think of it this way. You can get up to, I believe, about 9 villagers out of Land Mana Party, so that's essentially getting a 4 villager card and a 5 villager card together if you do it to its fullest extent. Right, mercantilism does not count. Alright, so it does look like, at least from this perspective, Kaiser did go with the early advanced trading posts. He's grabbing the center trading post, which is not too far away from the Swedish settlers here. Eternity's working hard here, managing his time well, trying to get this pronghorn herd over here herded in. this is a pretty wide open map. You can get raided pretty easily on if you're not careful. And you don't just have to worry about hussars on this map, you have to worry about the heavy infantry, right? Both the Beveringers and the flankers, as I mentioned before, have a really quick movement speed. And in a sense, they could be even more dangerous than hussar raids. Because with hussar raids, you know what you do? You just make a couple musketeers, you make a couple pikemen, or you just garrison the TC, right? Not with Beveringers and flankers. They can run, shoot down one villager at a time because there's so many of them stacked on top of each other, and just keep doing it until they get back to the base. And that can be more destructive. It can be more destructive. Looks like Eternity's going racks with a forward readout here. Nope, just view the map. Player summary. Let me see what Kaiser's got. So Kaiser has the option of shipping in flankers. He could ship in some of his marines as well if he runs into grenadier problems. This particular card here, the Pakavarat Matshapchij, is basically a really good card to get when you're taking over trade routes, because it essentially means all the deliveries of res from the trade route are going to deliver more resources. But to get those resources, your trading post needs to stand up, which it looks like it will not. You know, Eternity has effectively aggroed this trade site. He's already got Beverlingers here. He's also got Grenadiers here. The Beverling has a movement speed of about 5, whereas the Flanker has a movement speed of about 4.5. But once you research this card over here, this one here called Chatelige Mobile, it goes up to a movement speed of 5 as well. So really the Flanker and the Beveringer are kind of neck and neck, except for the fact that the Flanker has 4 more range than the Beveringer does. The Beveringer, since it doesn't have any crossbowman-like properties, only has 12 range. The Flanker, which adopts more of the crossbowman's properties, has 4 additional range, just like the crossbowman does. This is good use of Eternity of his Explorer, meat shielding a lot of the bullets in the front, giving his infantry more cover. But he still is going to want to retreat here, it looks like. Mainly because these flankers can outrange him, and they can kite into infinity and beyond, basically, if he's not careful. Yep, he doesn't want to get caught doing that. Don't get distracted by the big golden TC. I think Eternity's got a bit of a problem here. He does have the larger army, though. I think if he could get a good grenade throwing, could change this a little bit. But still, I think he's probably going to stay back at this point. He's going to need something a little bit different to deal with the flanker threat. He's got options. He could try to... Well, Hussars are an interesting option. Technically, the Scout class, depending on the circumstance, can make some favorable trades with the flankers, because since they're a hybrid between a crossbow and a musket, they do have the skirmish tag as well. So things like the Lancero, the Sawar, actually deal multiplier damage to these units. Honestly here though, I think he's probably just looking for a raid here with these Hussars. He really doesn't want to engage with these flankers head on. But looks like he's going to because of the pathing, right? He's gonna take advantage of his idleness and try to take some damage. Thankfully his Hussars get away alive, but very battered and almost dead. What else has he got? So he's got Beveringers and Grenadiers working here. I think Eternity thinks right now, at this point, probably the best thing he can make is probably more of the Grenadiers. Because if he can catch the flankers off guard, he can really knock them out with a really powerful splash attack of crush damage, which these grenade tosses have. It's about 20 crush, 2 splash, and then 0.25 additional multipliers against infantry. Which flankers are. They're infantry. They walk on foot. I still got some living hussars over here. I think Kaiser's trying to play the long game here with the trade route. You know, he's got the TP over here, which Eternity's still trying to aggro. Because I think he knows the Eternity, he knows the Kaiser's basically trying to get full or at least most control of this trade route so he can grab in extra resources and just spam him to death with the flankers. That's sort of the goal of Kaiser here. And all Eternity can really do is try to negate some of these trade routes, trading posts as they come. And now we see some of the volunteers. So the volunteers are the Wars of Liberty version of the crossbowmen, right? Instead of a crossbow, they use a rifle. They're essentially border guards, right? A border guard armed with a rifle. They have the same stats as the crossbowmen. And in terms of range, at least, they can shoot toe-to-toe with the flankers. They both got 16 range. And technically, the volunteers can do some pretty good damage versus the flankers if you got enough of them. Which right now, he doesn't have a whole lot. Oh, whoa, 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 nice. All the grenades missed, though. Yep, those ones kind of hit, but that unit was most... Kaiser's really smart with his formations. He knows to go into stagger mode right now. And he was able to dodge most of those grenades. Eternity has to wait a whole minute, a total of 60 seconds, just to get another grenade throw to recharge at these units, right? In the old game, right, Grenadiers, their grenade toss is their normal attack, but in Wars of Liberty, it's a charge attack that has a cooldown of about 60 seconds. So you really need to make sure that these volleys with the Grenadiers are properly managed, right? However, it does look like Eternity knows that he's probably going to have to transition into the Volunteer, because the Volunteer has the same range as the Flanker, which makes their kiting a little bit more difficult, and the Volunteer has about 1.25 multipliers against heavy infantry, giving it a pretty reasonable attack against these units. Let's see. It looks like Eternity is going for another attack once again. Made sure to hit that villager there, which, you know, good touch. Now we see the grenades connecting a bit more here. Still has a couple more grenades to go. Attack from the... Oh, he sandwiched him in with the hussars. Okay. So this is working a little bit good. However, these flankers still do have a bayonet against scout units, so you still have to be aware of that. However, in this particular case, because there's just so much infantry and they were fighting so well, he was able to wipe out the flanker army of Kaiser. Kaiser's now going to revert back to stable and barracks, and we might indeed see hussars be added into this mix as well, potentially. Kaiser might potentially know here that he needs some hussars very quickly to offset the advantage that these volunteers have, and these grenadiers as well. Right now, though, he's just got a couple of remaining flankers here, taking out one volunteer. That flanker went flying into the market there. That looked really painful. Had his arms up in the air. And now Eternity's going to go right for the TC. Hussars have arrived, though, from Kaiser, and he's now going to take advantage of his idleness and start to slowly eat away at his units here. Depending on how idle Eternity is with his army, this might mean that Kaiser might get to survive a little bit longer and might actually be able to push back. Right, so I think in this particular situation, since there's no Beveringers left on this side, Kaiser is able to fight off this army, and he might even be able to wipe out this army of Beveringers as well. He should make sure that his hussars do not take the fight, and he instead uses flankers and Minutemen to do that. This could prove to be pretty interesting. We see here that Eternity has started to get Beveringers through allotments. We do see the Torp here. I can guarantee you with pretty much certainty that now we're going to see large groups of these Beveringers be amassed through the Torp and its allotment system. What is the allotment system, might you ask? It's this thing. It's better emphasize with this card. So you got a card here called Advanced Torp. Torps are cheaper, and Beveringer allotments contain more units. So basically what the allotment is it's a grouping of X number of Beveringers from the Torp for a large cost that gradually gets more expensive every time you call upon. Basically, it's a big button, right? You know how you got a big button at the town center that could send Jaguar warriors, tomahawks for the Native Americans? Kind of the same thing. Oh, and we had a bit of a raid there from Kaiser, almost denying a outpost there, or a redoubt as it's called in Wars of Liberty. Now Kaiser's going to have to come up with a strategy here. He's got options. He could keep going flank war, he could add grenadiers in too. We see both sides are adding in their Minutemen to their armies too. So that's pretty interesting. Basically though, going back to the point of allotments, kind of the idea is you keep calling upon that big button again and again and again to quickly amass an army of what could easily be like 50, 60, 70 Beveringers. For, you know, a very quick amount of time. That's why the allotment system sort of exists. Yes, early on, it's pretty cheap, I think. It's pretty cheap to actually afford these allotments, but it does get expensive over time, and you do have to be aware of that. But the biggest advantage is the training time, right? Normally, you would be waiting a pretty good amount of time there for your barracks to produce these units. But if you use the allotment system, you can do it very quickly. Very quickly, actually. Eternity is taking more land here, going for this hunt, and actually has some towers here, trying to get control. Oh, unfortunately, Kaiser, though, put his towers up too forward there, and he's going to lose a wagon. Yes, that's kind of going to be a problem for him. He's going to do a bit of raiding here. Does Kaiser know about this? Yes, he does. And he's going to take advantage of it. Beautiful. Look at that. Look at that raid there. That's going to hurt Eternity pretty badly. And it might even force him into a bit of a retreat. Looks like, at least with this army here, the switch to Grenadiers by Kaiser was a very good move. If he can get around to actually aiming at the infantry and not the explorer, that could be a bit of a problem. He's going to try to bring back this army of flankers, I think, or at least start raiding on the hunts now. If I think he can wipe out some of the villagers that Eternity has, maybe he can lengthen this out a bit. Yep, he did take out about 2 settlers. He could probably take out this one as well. Which, will he do it? Yes, he will. Yep, 3 settlers. Unfortunately, we don't know how many settlers Eternity has exactly, but considering he did get a bit of good raiding work done in here, this should give Kaiser a bit more time to, you know, get some army again. I mean, I'll do a bit of an assessment now and can tell you pretty quickly who's doing okay. So, it looks like we got a fair amount of hunters up here. We got some miners down here. Do we have any on wood? Any vills on any other parts of the map? Nope. How many does Eternity got? He's got a very big bison hunt over there. And back at the base has some coin gatherers. You better grab some of these cords of wood, though, if you're Eternity. That could give you a pretty good advantage, I think. Yeah, that's the unique building of the Swedes. It's called the sawmill. It trickles wood, and it produces cords of 100 wood over time. That's basically what it does. Oh, I don't like the fact that Eternity is still in the base, though. This is really going to potentially threaten these towers. I think at this point, though, Kaiser has to take a gambit, which he is doing, to move these towers up towards his hunt over here. Right? Because he is going to run out of food at some point. And unless one of these Juanitos manages to hit capital age, potentially, yeah, you need to pay attention to this. You need to get this tower somewhere. Somewhere is better than nowhere, right? So, yeah. Thankfully, I think this tower is going to get up just in about enough time. Alright, he took a bit of a pause there to take out that tower. This one's going to be assaulted right now. How much more food does Kaiser have relatively into the base? A lot, a little. Well, I mean, I can't tell 100% how much more time Kaiser has to get some food together. Oh, he's really getting outnumbered now. This could be very serious indeed. This might be the end for him. I can see that score difference. Eternity has about double the score right now. Pretty severe. Kaiser is going to try to fight it off though from both sides using flankers. Trying to stall out for time as much as possible. Oh nope, nah, he's getting surrounded. I don't think Kaiser can hold this out really much longer than he can anyway. Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think he can do it. I don't think he can do it at all. Good duel though. I mean, this was really tight micro with the stagger mode, the back and forth, trying to fish each other in. This is really good combat for AoE 3 Wool, for sure. Very good combat. Kaiser resigns. And just asked if they're going to do a re, or if this is just going to be one game.
Yes.
Oh, no. Oh, nice. We're going to see multiple games. So, you know what? Guess what? We're going to cover those too. We're going to cover all the games that they're going to do. Not just one. We're going to do them all. Alright, so let's look at post-game. See what happened. So, Resources, Eternity did really well with the Swedish economy. Both Sawmills as well as Mana Party Boom really helped him grow forward. In terms of military, eventually that resulted in better military. Better raisings, better killings. Yes. Perfect, perfect, perfect. You can see right here when you look at the villager stats, the Mana Party made a huge difference here in really the villager count. Big difference there. Right, and because he was able to clinch that early advantage, he was probably able to stop Kaiser from producing as much villagers overall. Kaiser actually had the shipment advantage from the trade route and still wasn't able to clinch much there. Kind of interesting, actually, you know? Kind of interesting. Yep, so now we're going to boot up into another match. Right now. This has been a pretty good start to this series. Yes. And maybe at some point, if people want to do this live, we could do live series like this. This could be really fun, you know. It's a bit different than the usual recorded game stuff. And most of the time it's going to be better because, you know, recordings can always crash midway through. These, at least for the most part, are going to be more reliable sources of gameplay for us. Yeah, so now we're going to be doing Kaiser as Ottomans. Could be a good one. And what is Eternity going to do? Is he going to stick with Swedes? Is he going to change it up? If this was like tournament play, he would probably be forced at this point to pick something else so he doesn't just dominate with one godly civ that he's great at. I'm just going to click green in case Eternity's ready. But it's never guaranteed though. Never guaranteed. Oh, it's good. Oh, we're going Ottomans versus Indians. A lot of vanilla civs today. Dutch and Wars of Liberty definitely don't feel like a vanilla civ, but Ottomans and Indians, yeah, they're pretty much for the most part vanilla in their gameplay. Pretty much. With a couple of differences. I think Ottomans get the shorter end of the stick in Wars of Liberty just because of their weird little quirky upgrade system where they get all their... They only have Imperial upgrades. They don't get veteran upgrades. They don't get guard upgrades. It's really, really messed up and weird. And it really sets them back in the mid-game. You know, Ottoman's still very strong civ in early game, and they can pull off a reasonable FF strategy around Safahis and Falks and Mamluks. So, I mean, it's not all the end for them. They just run out of options pretty quickly. The only sort of exception to this rule was heavy infantry, since they can go for the Nizam El Sasid. Pretty much the same as the Nizam Fusilier from DE. And it basically becomes like a version of the Janissary that starts out with guard level stats, right? And unlike other ultimate units, the Nizam actually, you can have as many as you want, really. So, I mean, that can sort of work out for you sometimes. But unless you really like Great Bombard with Nizam El Cid, you might want some other options and might feel a bit underwhelmed by the amount of stuff you have until Imperial Age. At least if you want to be working with equal stats as your enemies. India, though, they had a bit of a boost in Wars of Liberty. See, before, if you recall from Legacy and DE, every time you ship a card as India, you get a free villager, right? The way they worked it out in Wars of Liberty is the number of villagers you get now is now proportional to the age that the card is in. So if you ship in a card in age 4, you'll actually get 4 free villagers. If you get one in 3, 3 villagers, 2 villagers. This actually makes the Indian economy much more jumping off the charts at the start of the game if you really know what you're doing, right? And their roster, for the most part, is the same. They got the Mahouts, they got the Sepoys, the Gurks, the Rajputs, the Arumi swordsmen, all those great weapons. Pretty much, yeah. And Ottomans are sort of the same way. The only things that I would note, though, with the Ottoman roster, again, is the Nizam El Cid. They do get something other than Hussars. They get the Delhi, which has a couple of different stats. I think it has either more attack or more HP. I can't recall which one. Than the Hussar does. And then they have Cav Archers in Age 2 instead of Age 3. That can work pretty good sometimes. It's really a great counter against early assault unit civs. Because what you can do is make Cav Archers against Mushatero and win the game instantly. If your opponent doesn't know what an assault unit is and they make them. That's pretty cool. That's one way Ottomans are actually better here. And another way Ottomans are better here too is the fact that they get this other bonus where when they siege buildings with either torches or arrows, mortars, cannons, that doesn't count basically. If you use like Janissaries or Cav Archers to attack a building as Ottomans, they'll start to trickle a bit of coin into your inventory. Yeah. It's basically a pillage bonus that the Ottomans get. When they pillage and siege buildings, you get coin. You get money. You get paid. Get paid for your plunder. Yeah. We see an equal grab for the trade route so far, but we should probably check out the decks at this point. Looks like Ottomans are going for pretty standard Ottoman play, I think, at least from Wars of Liberty standards. 4 crates, advanced TP, Janissary, Delhi, all the Abyss / Humbarasi upgrades. Yep, Wars of Liberty does have the Humbarasi from DE instead of the old Grenadiers. In Age 3, we got Safahi shipments, the crucial Foot Artillery or Falk shipment, the crucial Mamluk shipment, and 5 Abyss. You also have a fort here. There is also Janissary combat, because you won't be getting any upgrades on them until Imperial Age. You do have advanced arts too, though, so it's not too bad. And then Age 4, just lots of Safahis, the great bombards called Dardalinus' guns. I don't know how to pronounce that, I don't know why. Sounds pretty good enough. And then the factories, yeah. India is going aggro fort in the center. Unfortunately, we can't see what the wonder is, but hey, if I was going to build a wonder in the center of the map as Indians, what would I build? Yeah, an aggro fort. I wouldn't put my Karnama there. Imagine sticking your Karnama. Yep, it's the aggro fort, but imagine sticking your Karnama right in the center of the map and somebody just burns it to the ground and you're like, what happened to my 10% economy? Oh, you shouldn't have put it in the center of the map, man. You should have put it in the back of the base. Yeah. But what is India doing in terms of deck? I'm wondering. There's a few ways to do India. So India is playing more of that semi-FF friendly play, I think. They probably got the distributism wood trickle first, and then they can pick up the foreign logging second over here. depend on where in that track they're going to go with the semi-FF. They can either ship one of these, or they can go for the diplomatic intrigue. Wars of Liberty does have some very spicy consulate options. That's one of the areas India really, I think, enjoys itself here. They get some really nice tools, right? They can either pick between the British green jackets called grasshoppers, giving them a really nice early skirmisher, which they already technically got, but the green jackets offer more good anti-dragoon capabilities and more range. They could go for the grognards of France, basically grenadiers. They could go for the Ottomans and their Abbas gunners. Yeah, pretty powerful, right? Not these measly handcap. You can make little Abbas gunners as the Ottomans. And then I believe the Portuguese, you can make the Academico volunteers, right? So basically crossbowmen still. Same as the Bestieros, except they're carrying guns now. Yeah. Right out of the gate, we see sepoys coming out of the Agra Fort. This is textbook India play. Build an Agra Fort in the center of the map and start attacking right away with the sepoys. I honestly don't think you could ever see a game with the Indians where they don't make sepoys, right? Like, even if you're going to make sowars that game, they always start out with sepoys. It's just a good, versatile musket unit with some pretty good stats. They're going to be chased away, though, by Abbas. Abbas is a very nasty counter to the sepoys, and it's going to force them back to their fort. They're also going to be joined by a contingent of Janissaries, I think, that were shipped from the home city. This could be a serious threat, for sure, and it might force India and pin them back to their Agra here. We see that India has shipped in their Sawar shipment alongside some more trained sepoys. And it's going to come down to who can micro best here. Who can micro this fight really well. If these Sawars can survive, maybe they annihilate these Abbas gunners. If they can't survive, then the Abbas gunners dominate the sepoys, and, you know, it becomes much more of a defensive game for India. Janissaries are going to swipe those with the scimitars, that one too, but now the Sawars are in the back, making it kind of hard to reach for these Janissaries. There is one here, though, that's going to wipe this one out. Does he have enough HP to take out the last Sawar? Yes. Yes, he does. And it's good. He has to take out these Rajputs, though. These Rajputs, you know, kind of a wild card type of handcap if you treat them like that. They're actually just heavy infantry pikemen, but since they have like 25 hand attack, if you don't manage them properly, they can almost act like cavalry themselves. Yeah, so it looks like for the right now, Eternity has some time to try to clean up this trade route and take it away from Kaiser. He's going to make a full job of getting down this TP, because that's way more important than trying to get some bullets into these Abbascars. He can handle that a little bit later if he wants to. Right, so, yeah, now India's forced back a little bit. One thing I guess is sort of a disadvantage for India now is, since the British and the particularly the Ottomans consulates are reworked, India doesn't actually get any H2 consulate option for hand cavalry, right? So if they want to use their exports for something, they're either going to have to use it for a skirmish unit, a like crossbowman style unit, or a grenadier unit. So yeah, you're kind of a little bit more limited. Mostly just anti-infantry for the most. Yeah, exclusively anti-infantry, right? Abbas Gunner good against Inf. Grognard good against Inf. Volunteer good against Inf. And Green Jacket good against Inf. So it's really just more centered towards skirms and more anti-infantry weapons, really. As a result, Eternity does have to construct a caravanserai here to make some more Sawars. What is Kaiser going to do, though? So Kaiser has some more Janissaries, also a bigger contingent of Abbas gunners. The emphasis on the Abbas gunners, probably better at this point. I mean, as long as you have a few Jans to wipe out the Sowars, going the Abyss route is probably the preferable route, right? Since you know your opponent's consulate is exclusively skirmish units and grenadier units, having the Abyss there is probably going to be your best bet, right? Because Abyss gunners do not suffer, you know, they don't have to deal with multipliers in terms of the skirmishers deal multipliers against them, right? And then they can deliver some nasty multipliers against Grognards should Eternity go with the French consulate. He doesn't even have a consulate right now, so that's going to be something that's probably going to come into play a little bit later. Right. For me, I get the consulate first and foremost, right? I want to get as much free units into my armies as possible. I really don't see a reason to do anything otherwise, you know what I mean? Get that little contingent of grasshoppers or grognards or something, just so you can say, hey, I have a larger army than my opponent and I might be able to utilize that. Now you're sort of losing out on that and you have to use it a little bit later. Right? My question is when do we see one of these go up to capital H? Maybe Ottomans decide to go for their foot artillery, aka falconets, to really gain a huge advantage, or maybe they go for some Safahi shipments, which could also be very impactful here. Or we can see India go for Mahouts, right? They could go Mahouts. Do they have some other options here? So they have the siege elephants, they got the Arumi, and then more infantry shipments. Yeah, they could even send a contingent of consulate units out with the intervention card. Yeah, it looks like Eternity's really set on defending this, or rather, destroying this trade route. Yeah, well, technically he's defending it because he's defending it for his people by destroying Kaiser's trading post, because his people can't trade if Kaiser's hogging the whole thing himself. So, in a way, they're kind of defending their right to a fair marketplace by burning down his TP. Yeah. Basically. Seizing the means of trade route production, pretty much. Oh, now he's sniping the camels. Oh boy, that's gotta stink. Like, imagine knocking out a camel like that, all the nasty juices that would stink up everything. Oh boy. But I guess the Ottomans are used to it, you know. They're from the Middle East, so I mean, they definitely probably have had their fair share of stinky camels. They've had to deal with between the stinky camel breath, the stinky camel stomachs, the stinky camel poop and pee, all that stuff, basically. All that. Very stinky, you know. If you don't believe me, take a trip to, you know, your local zoo where they have camels. Trust me, they really one of the more rancid smells you'll smell in your life. I don't know if it's bad as a durian, but it's pretty up there. Maybe not as bad. It's probably the same as a bison or a buffalo or something. Or a wet dog or a wet cow. Who knows? We see an attempt to make an assault on this agrifort. Great thing for Ottomans is, the more they try to siege stuff like this fort, they actually get a bit of coin back for doing it, you know? That pillage bonus in action. Good micro of the Abyss gunners there, taking out multiple Gurkhas. Also able to defend pretty well against Sowars. We'll see if Kaiser can do a proper assault here and slowly clinch the advantage. However, India is also employing their own Abyss gunners from the Ottoman consulate, so it's not going to be all as much one-sided as Kaiser probably hoped it was going to be. He's going to have to deal with his own people, basically. Smaller numbers, of course, but still, it's going to make a bit of a difference in terms of the skirmish firepower here. You know, the Abyss gunners hit pretty hard. And even with just a couple of them, you're going to be able to have a bit more of an edge when you're dealing with the Ottoman ones. Yeah, most definitely. The one thing you don't get is India, though, for the most part, is our anti-infantry artillery, right? No Falcons, no horse arty, nothing really like that. So, I mean, you do run into some problems. You do still have the Great Bombard option with the Ottoman consulate, but of course that's a lot later in the game, so you're not going to have that advantage anytime soon. Yeah, this is getting pretty interesting. We see Eternity has 1 TP, Kaiser still retains 3 TPs. Oh, that's a bad engagement there. A lot of units lost from that. Let's see if the Sawars can offer a bit of a distraction with the Raj put over there to maybe clean up as much as possible here. He has to call the Minutemen out from the Ottoman consulate. Not going to do much since the Abbots don't have the Siege Trooper tag. So it's really not going to help too much. Just extra bodies to, you know, take the front lines. Extra cannon fodder. Or Abbas fodder. Yeah, it's Abbas fodder. Yeah, they're not cannons. They're Abbas guns. So it's Abbas fodder when you're put on the front lines and you aren't going to contribute much to the combat. Maybe he's going to grab this treasure here. What is this treasure? It's it's the Jackalope one. That's pretty good. 320 XP. That might be a good shipment for Kaiser to add to his shipment collection. If he can get another one. Oh, he turned the age up. He's got the Mahout now, but the Mahout didn't do much. But that does mean that Eternity can now ship in the Mahout shipment. He's got the 2 Mahouts. He doesn't have the 3 one. You know, he's a bit cheap on that. He doesn't have the 3 Mahout shipment. I like the 3 Mahout shipment, and I'd rather pay the additional food for it personally. Having 3 rampaging elephants, almost as stinky as the camels are, with their poop and stuff, yeah, that's going to terrorize the Ottoman armies into submission. But it might look like the Ottomans might be doing that right now. They seem to have the edge and range firepower here with the Abaskars. And the Gurks, they're trying, but you can only try so much. Right, so, yep, they're stuck trying to... Here comes the Mahouts. Let's see if they can do this. If they can do this, this will be perfect. They can do this. I think now you'll see the Gurks really do well here, but you can't engage with these Jans for too long, otherwise they'll get cleaned up pretty quickly and swept under the rug. Yeah, the problem is Kaiser's not paying it. Oh, he was gunning for taking out the Agra fort, which he did perfectly. So now let's see if Eternity can actually retain these elephants here. I think the longer he can retain these things, the longer he'll have a bit of an edge over his opponent. Get this Mahout out of here. He's kind of done the job that it needs to. Let the Gurks do the rest of the work. Ottomans claiming a 4th trading post on the route. So yeah, it's getting a bit intense. Putting a castle down though. Trying to emulate some level of defense here with the castle. Yeah. And with that castle, you'll also be able to make the flail elephants and the siege elephants, which you might want to make against Ottoman artillery, right? I think Ottomans really haven't touched the Age 3 yet, but they are getting down a stable, though. So maybe we're going to see cav archers here. Yeah, that would be a totally healthy response by Ottomans, I think. If they know that they're dealing with Mahouts now, they can start to make some of those cav archers now, since they are an Age 2 unit for the Ottomans in this mod. But considering India's doing completely Gurkha stuff, that would actually probably be more harmful to Ottomans than anything. Also, keep in mind right now, the series is currently 1-0 in favor of Eternity. We'll see if Kaiser can come back with the win and see how they progress, right? I don't know how many games we're going to get today. This could be very, very fascinating. Very, very fascinating indeed. Look at the movement of all those Uruks, as they're called in DE. Here they're still called settlers, but, you know, they look like Uruks. They're Uruki. They're Uruki enough for me. Mostly skirmish here. And Kaiser is still not in Capital Age yet. I wonder if just a number of these delis might actually be enough to handle the threat of the... Yeah, maybe. I don't know. This is the thing, though. The delis are pretty durable. They got 410 HP, so I mean they can handle some pretty good abuse for sure. And the speed isn't too bad either. 7.25. They go really fast. We're starting to see that score advantage really come up with India, like we saw in the last game of Eternity versus Kaiser. So I'm wondering now if Eternity's securing his win now with this economy, or if Kaiser can maybe pull a fast one on Eternity and come back still. You know, Kaiser might be able to turn this into a 1-1, a tie, right? All depends. I think at this point, Kaiser just wants to reach H3 and get some artillery. You know, definitely shake his advantage. You know, if he can get a bunch of foot artillery / Valks, he should be able to spray those Gurks pretty effectively. But at the moment, he's going to have to hold out as much as he can here and maybe drive Eternity back. Yeah, even these disciplined veteran Sepoys and Gurks can still get really ripped up by these Abyss Gunners. You know, it says a lot that these Abyss Gunners don't actually get a upgrade until Imperial Age. That must tell you that they must be formidable enough to still be relevant far into the Industrial Age. Potentially, right? The one thing that Kaiser did very well is he got the advanced arsenal. He got the artillery attack and the 2 HP boost for the artillery. So, essentially, these Abyss Gunners are really fueled up, right? And he could get the arsenal at some point, too, over here and start to get counter infantry rifling. That would render these Sepoys basically useless. And then get the paper cartridge and those basically to make the Abyss Gunners really good shredders of things like the Siege Elephants, of the Gurkhas. Yeah, Kaiser could win this thing in Age 2 still, depending on what Eternity's ability is. You know, Kaiser could win with just Age 2 Abyss Gunners fueled by all the cards and the advanced arsenal. It's fairly enough upgrades to get the job done. I don't think Siege Elephants at this moment are going to do a whole lot. It's really going to come down to whose army of skirmish units wins. Is it going to be the Gurks? Is it going to be the Abyss? Right now it seems to be the Abyss. The Abyss is just a harder hitting unit. They really blast through the enemy lines. 51 crush damage. That's a huge amount of damage. Basically 3 shots is enough to blast down 1 Gurk. Another wall of nasty damage for anyone trying to push on that. Right, and keep in mind, the Siege Elephants still have the maneuver tag. So they actually suffer multipliers against these elephants. Yeah, it's pretty daunting, to say the least. Abyss still enjoying a bit of a lead here in terms of the combat. In a way, I think maybe these Siege Elephants might help tank some damage for the infantry. Kaiser's best goal here should be to take out the infantry first, and then deal with the elephants. The 2 elephants in the room. But now we see Kaiser in Capital Age, H3. So that means Sipahi shipments, foot artillery shipments, Mamluk shipments, those are all possibilities now. Those are all things we might actually see here. More Abyss Gunners over here. And yeah, let's see. Let's see if Sipahi are added to this mix at all. No, is there any... There was no Zam shipments, right? No Zamra barracks, no Howdas for Eternity. Yeah, this could be a potential threat if Kaiser was able to employ a large number of assault units, right, like the Safahi, which he has, it's going to force India to change their game once again and add Samurai barracks to their army, right? And those, of course, are going to be severely threatened by the Abyss Gunner. So it's definitely up to Ottoman's best interest, I think, to add the Safahi shipments and make sure that the Safahi are not wiped out by the enemy, you know. They come in and they make impactful strikes where they can. It looks like he's going to try to do that, but now he realizes, hey, maybe not the best idea. Maybe back up a little bit. And he's going to try to draw out some of these hand units, some of these Arumis, some of these Rajputs, but now he's driving back in towards the range units. Rumi, always an obnoxious threat. Yeah, but that was a pretty sad Safahi attack, I think. Now, I expected them to do a little bit better there. And you still got Arumis to deal with, mind you, so this could get really toxic really quick. You know? Yeah. They were actually changed to Scout Tag in this, yeah, that's going to be fatal for Kaiser. Yes, a GG Re. Maybe we'll see another one. But, oh yeah, that I was going to say that the Arumis have been changed to Scout Tags, so they basically have the same tag as Hussars now. Makes them a pretty formidable threat, for sure. 2-0. Yeah, 2-0. It's never too late to break the tie if you want to, you know. Who said we have to do BO best out of 3? We could do best out of 5, we could do best out of 7, we could do best out of 21, 79, whatever they want. Imagine covering 79 games in one night. Couldn't do it in one night. It would take multiple days to do that, but I would totally do that, you know. I'd have to make a special request from YouTube and say, hey, I want to do a VOD that's 2 days long. Will you let me do that? Something like I don't know. Maybe baby. Yeah. Yeah, but let's look at the post game here. After this, I'll check the menu and see if this was just the best out of 3 or if we actually are going to get some more games. Yeah. Yeah, good job from Eternity with that Kami. That Kami is really rocking them well. But Kaiser was the superior fighter here with the Abyss Gunners. These Abyss were really top-notch. I feel like if he got a better fight with the Safahi and actually took out the Arumi, we'd be looking at a much different situation here, and I think we would be in a much better place, to say the least. So I'm just going to reboot this and see if we're going to get some more games. If not, we'll call it a series and say that Eternity won this best out of 3 in a very powerful way. Yeah. We'll see, though. I'll wait around. Yep. We got another one. I have to wait outside, fortunately. Yep. Wait for Eternity to come. See if Eternity wants to fight some more and improve his title even more. To me, I think you would want to face more games against Kaiser because every game you beat Kaiser and you put more honor on your name, basically, right? If you win only a best out of 3, it doesn't look as cool as winning a best out of 5 or a best out of 7 with no losses. That would be very powerful for Eternity, so we'll see if he can do that. Right, I'll keep waiting here for him. Yep, let me ping. You coming, Juanita Boliviana? Yeah, I pinged him. You better come. I want some more games. I want some more. Now. Let me see. Huh. Alright, so maybe we're gonna do something else now? Let's see. 1v1? Yeah, alright, so I'll go return that. I'll go record that right now. See you later. Hopefully we get another live series like this. See you some other time. GG. Well played, Eternity. Good work.